Moving to pigs now, and as Maddie illustrated, the bottlenecks in the supply chain from this spring took their toll on cattle and pork producers. But pork's recovery was slower than what we saw in cattle. Those constraints in slaughter capacity played a factor in depressed prices. Schulz, livestock economist with Iowa State University, joined me this week to discuss current and future price projections in pork.
We got as low as $51, $52 per hundredweight this spring, what we expected, or given the constraints in slaughter capacity. We've seen that again in July. But by the fourth quarter, prices were 72.5 or so they've averaged so far. That's really unseasonal, where we've seen some of our strongest prices here in the fall. And it's because we by and large cleaned up that backlog of hogs.
And cold storage for pork is down in a big way too. USDA numbers show a 27% drop. When you see that number, what does it tell you?
Well, I think that it does show the efficiency of product movement. Certainly exports and domestically is we haven't had to stage it in cold storage. Now there's some reasons for that. I think you've seen really strong belly prices that encouraged packers and processors to pull that product out of cold storage or never let it get there, right? And so I think that really depleted that. Belly's down 57% year over year. And, I think you're just seeing the situation where that product isn't, intended for cold storage, and just that efficiency of movement there. Now, I will note that cold storage is pretty important from a pork standpoint. Percentage production, it's about 25%. It's down to about 17%. So it shows you that, we're not having a lot of cushion there necessarily. Now, when the supply chain's moving as good as it is, that's great, right? But I think, there isn't a huge buffer there. And so, it's just a thing to keep in mind going forward.
Lee, can you share with us your price outlook as we move through December and then heading into 2021?
So I think the one word is better. And I think we've already really seen that this fall. As we get into 2021, I'm in about that $63 to $67 per hundredweight range. What I'm forecasting is in Iowa, Minnesota, hog price. I use futures price adjusted for basis. That'd be about $4 per hundredweight higher than what we've seen first quarter of 2020. The big ones are the second and third quarter. So there I'm forecasting $73 and $76 per hundredweight averages. That average is roughly $17 to $18 per hundredweight greater than we've seen last year. So on average, price is about $9 per hundredweight higher than in 2020. That'd be about a $70 per hundredweight average price for 2021.
Okay, so you say those prices are better, but how do those margins look when you factor in higher feed costs?
So better, and you really hit on the situation. It's the higher feed cost. So the model that I have at Iowa State University, it's a model that we estimate both costs and returns, and that model says on a hundredweight basis we're going to see $5 to $6 per hundredweight higher feed costs. That translates to about $13 per pig higher. And so if we look at prices forecast for 2021, they're roughly where 2019 prices were, maybe a little bit better, but the big difference is the higher feed costs and higher cost of production. So, I think we're going to see profitable margins, at least what futures suggest for 2021, but they're going to be modest profitability, and where we're going to see the profitability is during the summer.
And we got to talk about pork exports too. The exports to China have been just wild in 2020. Hey, let's call it hog wild. Even bigger than Japan, who is a big export partner.
113% up, what I seen, recently, and it's our biggest market. And you put Hong Kong in there, and that's the biggest region, right? Now, I think when you look at outstanding sales, when you look at that weekly report, it shows, I wouldn't say some changes, but at least maybe a little bit of shift. So China actually is down compared to year ago levels. That's because fourth quarter 2019 was so exceptional for them. They were purchasing product already for 2020. And so, but you look at Mexico, for example, October exports were the largest since March. I think you're seeing a lot of momentum, more exports to Mexico. Canada's been the best since 2013. You're seeing some movement to the Caribbean. So it's that portfolio, right? That's why we're seeing exports up 20% year over year. Yes, China's a big part of that, but we also have that insurance policy of that large portfolio.